Thank you so much for joining us. For everyone who is listening to us online, a big evening, a big welcome to you wherever you're listening from. Thank you so much for being a very dedicated member of this show. We're very glad to have you. And for everyone on Facebook, a massive, massive, massive welcome. Thank you once again for joining us this very special day, very beautiful evening, very warm winter evening. Thank you so much. Now, we have nothing here but a lot of joy, celebration, and love. So we'd love to get some love back from you. So send us, share this video to all your Facebook friends. Share this on your timelines. Invite all your friends on Facebook, and we'll be very happy to, get all your shout outs from you as well. Of course, this is a very beautiful show, My Career, My Calling, and this show is not only for one person. This is for everyone who wants to be inspired and who wants to also inspire someone else. So please send us your information, whatever you want to share on Facebook. And if you're joining us for the very first time, this is My Career, My Calling. It's a multicultural community radio program that provides a lot of information. We share insights and how migrants can succeed in this beautiful country we call Australia, and in the workplace, of course. So thank you so much for joining us. And, the aim of this show is to, of course, assist new and settling migrants to better understand the Australian job market and how to succeed in the Australian workforce. Of course, this is very beneficial to all of us, whether you've been here for 10 years, whether you've been here for 2 years, whether you're very new in this country. You never know. This is a show that benefits everyone. So massive welcome to you. Please share this video on your timelines. Invite everyone on your friends list. And you never know who will get much benefits from this show.
Family as well, but at the same time, she does not allow that part of her life to get in the way of her passion and love for God, as well as the work of His kingdom. So just to celebrate you, women of God, I just wanted to say a very big happy birthday to you, and that may God truly remember you in everything that you've done for the house of God.
Yes, those are shout outs coming from Stephanie. As I said, this is a special day today because we get to celebrate this beautiful woman that I'm very fortunate to have known. Today's special edition, as you can know, for everyone who follows this show, it's a little bit different because I'm sitting in this chair. It's not my chair, but I'm sitting on this chair today, and I'm very honored, I have to say, to have been given this wonderful opportunity. So it is Stephanie's birthday today, and this is our special birthday edition as we celebrate the life and achievements of our producer, Dr. Stephanie Fletcher-Lartey. Happy birthday! Woo! I feel like I should sing a little happy birthday song. Happy birthday to you, Stephanie.
Oh, thank you so much, Julia, and thank you so much for filling in my seat.
I know it's a lot of pressure, I have to say.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So we're having an extended version of today's show today, and thank you so much for coming to celebrate with me. I really appreciate it.
It's a massive pleasure. Yes. It's such a big pleasure to be able to sit on this very difficult seat. Yes, talk about pressure, but it's such a great honor that you've awarded to me, and I cannot be grateful enough. So thank you so much. Now you can give us your call. Give us a call if you have any shout outs for Stephanie. If you have any questions that you need to ask, the number is 0280060475. Now, of course, if you're overseas, you can put 612-800, sorry. I'll start. That's 612-800-60475. Thank you so much. And just to also talk about this great, amazing show that we have today, Stephanie. It's your birthday. We wouldn't ask how old you are, but it's, I believe birthdays times when we get to reflect back and look at how far we've come
Yes.
and how much we've achieved.
Yes.
And that's why this special edition is to celebrate you.
Thank you.
So let's start with you. We need to get to know you, because a lot of people watch you on your show every Tuesday.
Yes.
From 6 to 7. So people need to know who Stephanie is. Maybe you can give us a few insights of who you are.
Okay, thank you so much, Julia. Wow, where do I start? Who am I?
Who are you?
So I'm Stephanie, and I'm a Jamaican Australian.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this year will be 10 years since I've lived in Australia.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm a wife of Mr. Daniel Lartey.
Ooh,
I'm a mother of 4 beautiful children.
that's cute.
I'm also a pastor at the Destiny Impact Worship Center. I run my own business.
Oh, that's good.
It's called Arete Research Global Pty Limited.
Oh, so that's something I didn't know. Okay.
I've got a business. Yeah, we provide expert level research, monitoring, and evaluation, and epidemiology services.
Okay.
To global organizations.
Wow, amazing. So
companies.
what sort of things do you actually research on, if you don't mind me?
Yes, so I'm a public health specialist. So my field is public health and environmental health as well. So anything public health,
Yes.
I can do research for you on. And I do touch into some of the community health settings as well. So I do research on, infectious diseases, non-infectious diseses, health services related stuff. I can do clinical trials.
Wow, amazing.
Any area, I'm a research expert.
Yes,
I did
yes.
complete a PhD in epidemiology and research. So I do monitoring and evaluations. I've worked for large organizations, global ones as well, doing research and monitoring and evaluation for governments, for Australian federal government.
Yes.
I've worked for the World Health Organization.
Wow.
I've worked for UN. I've worked for a lot of people.
The list keeps
Keeps
longer.
going on, and
Oh my
you
God,
can
yes.
you can go to my website and read a long list of stuff, or if you're really interested, you can contact me for my CV, and
Yes.
I'll give you you can read
A
it.
rundown of what you've
Yeah.
achieved. Man, every word that comes out of you, I'm just like, wow, wow, wow. Very impressive. And did you do this before coming to Australia, or?
So before coming to Australia, I worked in Jamaica as a public health inspector,
Okay.
otherwise known as an environmental health officer.
Yes.
So I started out very young. I started to train when I was only 18 years old.
18.
And I
yes.
graduated at the age of 21.
Wow.
So I worked as a public health inspector for 14 and a half years in Jamaica. Before I left Jamaica, I was already the regional environmental health officer for the northeastern region of Jamaica.
Yes.
So quite a senior role. And then I did quite a few other little stints here and there. I worked as a short-term consultant for the Caribbean Epidemiology Center. And so I had to move to Trinidad and Tobago for 6 months, where I worked as a consultant for the Pan American Health
Wow.
Organization. Then, it was after that.
Yes.
I already finished my master's in Jamaica before coming to Australia.
Before coming to Australia. Now, seeing that you are occupying this amazing work position in Jamaica and already traveling around the world, I mean, closest to where you were in Jamaica, and achieving so much at such an early age, what made you migrate all the way to Australia, the other end of the world, and why not somewhere closer to Jamaica?
Okay, well, there's a little story behind it, so
Yes.
be patient with me. I'll tell a really quick story.
Yes.
So in 2018, when I finished my master's in Jamaica, I finished my master's in 2007, sorry.
2007.
Yeah, so
yes.
as part of my master's, I did a short-term 6-week placement in the Caribbean Epidemiology Center. That's part of the Pan American Health Organization in Trinidad. And while I was there, I did a few small projects. The following year, after I graduated, about 8 months after, they called me back and asked me to take up a short-term consultancy role to work on this big research project that was running across the Caribbean.
Yes.
So I got this consultancy job for 6 months. While I was working,
Yes.
my boss said to me, like in the first few weeks, she was about to go away and she said to me, now, I'm going away for a week and I'm giving you a few things to do. And the last thing on the list was you find a program to do your PhD.
Okay.
So, sorry.
Yes.
So it was kind of like, I thought it was a joke at first, but I know her. She's a very serious person. Very young. She was very young as well. She'd already had a PhD by the age of like 28. So
28?
she
Wow,
had already,
that's very impressive.
you know, at this time, she was probably around that age. You know, she'd already graduated a couple of years. And I think she really was taken by my abilities and my work ethic. And she really encouraged me. So while I was there, she gave me an assignment.
Yeah.
So I was searching to meet this assignment.
Yes.
And while I was looking for this PhD program, I found a scholarship for the University of Technology, Sydney.
Oh, wow.
It was the International Research
Yes.
Scholarship. So it was for Commonwealth students. And so I applied for it, you know, thinking, oh,
You probably won't get it.
I probably won't get it. You know, it was about 15 pages, but I really invested the time and the effort to do it.
Yeah.
And mark you, by this time, I was already looking at a few universities in the US, in England.
Yeah.
But I had a little grievance with the US system because they wanted me to sit an exam. I had a master's degree. I'd graduated with distinction.
Yeah.
And I had a problem with that. I thought, I've graduated with a master's degree. Why do I need to sit an exam?
Why do I need to prove myself?
To
by
prove
sitting correct?
myself
Yeah.
again. So I just said, no, I'm not going to America. So I applied to the UK and I got accepted to 3 universities, but none of them gave me a scholarship. And I just less than a year ago finished my master's, so I really didn't have money for a PhD.
Of course, yeah.
So for me to do one, I had to get a scholarship.
Yeah.
So I was searching for scholarships and I found the one advertised by this University of Technology, Sydney. I didn't have any clue where that was, or I just knew that Australia was somewhere in the southern hemisphere.
Yeah. Somewhere very far,
Somewhere
away.
very far,
A land far.
on the opposite side of where I was.
Yes.
But you know what? I think because somebody dared me to do it, I thought, you know what? I'm gonna do this. But after a while, I kind of became passion about doing it. Started to really fill my heart.
Yes.
And it became a dream. So I was like, okay, I'm putting in the application and I'm going to do what it takes.
Yes.
And I leave the rest in the hand of God. And lo and behold, at the end of the year, I think it was about November, I got an email.
You got accepted?
I got accepted.
Yes.
I got a full PhD
Yes.
scholarship
Wow.
for the University of Technology,
Sydney.
to cover my full tuition fee for 3 years to complete a PhD
Wow.
in Sydney.
Yeah.
And that is how my journey to Australia started.
Wow. Well, I'll be very keen to know what was going through your head, you traveling across the globe to this country where you, I'm assuming, didn't know anybody or had no idea where it is.
Yes.
You just knew it's a land far, far away. What was going through your head? What?
To be very honest, you know, the excitement was like, oh my God, I got it. I was shocked.
Yes.
I think I was so shocked that I actually won the scholarship, you know. But at the same time, when the reality of what I'd actually achieved hit me,
Yes.
that was another shock.
Yes.
I was like, okay, you just won a scholarship to go to Australia.
Yes, you just
It's
been
like,
accepted.
okay, hang on a second. I'm going to the other side of the world. So I had a lot of turmoil on the inside, a lot of emotional conflicts as well. I was like, okay, you've won the scholarship now. Like, have you actually thought it through what this means?
Exactly. What does this mean?
You know,
leaving your family, friends.
Leaving my family, leaving my job.
Leaving your job.
I think for me, you know, in my heart, I knew that God had a big plan for me.
Yes.
But some part of my mind couldn't really conceive it because it was a little bit bigger than where I was.
Yes.
But there was this thing in my heart that kept telling me, although it is so big, because God is behind it, I would be able to do it. You know?
Yeah.
So it was overwhelming. Absolutely overwhelming. I was shocked. And then I had some really good people around me who they themselves have never seen this thing. But you know, some people who can believe in you,
Yeah,
they
absolutely.
actually believed in me, and they really encouraged me that, you know what, if God opened this door, He will take you
He
to
will
it,
take you through
and
it,
He will
yeah.
take you through it.
Absolutely. And it's very important to have these people that encourage you. Because
Yes.
sometimes you might take this sort of people for granted, but they play such a very big, important role
Yes.
because that motivated you to actually decide to leave everything
Thing.
you've worked hard for,
Yes.
you know, meaning your job,
Yes.
and fly across the world to an unknown land.
Oh. Can I tell you something?
Yes.
So with my job, so I told you that I was a regional environmental health officer
Yes.
in the Northeast Regional. So
Yes.
this is like the almost second most senior role in the country. And I'd only been appointed like a few months. So I was acting in the role when I got the scholarship,
Yes.
and I got appointed in the role like a few months after, while I was contemplating coming to Australia. So I had to, at some point in time, break the news to my boss.
Yes.
It didn't go down really well.
Yeah.
You know, I think they had a lot of high hopes for me,
Yes.
and I think they had a really great vision of what I was going to do for the organization. So to tell them that I'm leaving,
Yeah.
it was a very difficult conversation. There were lots of tears.
Oh.
But it was also one of the most painful things that I've ever done, because at the end of the day, there were certain people in the organization who I think didn't really understand why
Why you
I
had
was,
to, yeah.
why I had to do this at this time, and that I was actually answering God's call. So my immediate supervisor was really supportive, but there were other elements that really posed a stumbling block. And thankfully, I knew that this was purpose.
Yes.
It was part of my purpose. It was part of God's plan for my life. And so when all those obstacles started to go up, I knew deep down inside of me that this is what God wanted me to do. I had no shadow of doubt, even when, you know, things were just going wrong in every way conceivable. I had that still small voice that kept telling me, this is my plan for you, and I am going to silence these voices, and I will show you the way to Australia. And God gave me that word, which I held on to. And my sister, I have no regrets.
Wow.
I have absolutely no regrets, and I'm so glad that I was obedient.
Yes.
Because here I am today, 10
Yes.
years later.
10 years later.
10 years later, celebrating.
Wow.
So this birthday
Yes.
is a really special one for me, because it's 10 years.
It's 10 years in Australia.
10 years
and it's
since I
your
made the
birthday.
journey.
Yeah.
Yes, 10 years.
Wow, wonderful. Congratulations. I can't imagine facing all those challenges
Yes.
and still going ahead and pushing through to come all this way. Most of us would have just been like, oh, you know, now my boss is saying this and this is happening, and maybe I should just stay and find a PhD somewhere else. But I'm very glad that you chose to listen to your inner voice and you chose to listen to God's voice,
Yes,
because that's very important. Because if you didn't, then who knows what would have happened.
Yes.
But that's good, because then you got to come to Australia,
Yes.
and I got to meet you at Destiny Impact Coaching Center. And you know, I have to say, you're one of the very few people that I met that was very welcoming. You approached me, I remember, and started, you know, having conversations with me, and immediately made me feel right at home. So thank you. And so you being, of course, a pastor, now doing all these businesses, this great, amazing business that you're doing at the moment, and having achieved so much in your career, what made you start this show, My Career, My Calling?
Yeah, so this show, I believe it was one of those inspirations that I got again.
Yeah.
So, as you know, this program is sponsored by iCare Community Services.
Yes.
And as part of iCare, iCare actually runs a job readiness program.
Okay.
So, iCare has partnered with the government to do what they call work for the dole. Through, in fact, it's Destiny Impact Worship Center. The church has started the program in partnership with iCare. And so we've been doing it for about almost 4 years now.
4 years,
So what we do is for people who have been outside of work for a long time, for whatever reasons, for whether illness or so many different reasons, So we have given them opportunity to come here to gain work experiences. So we started off with just basic craft and so on.
Yeah.
But what I realized was that these were pretty much 100% Australians.
The ones who
were participating in this program.
Yes.
But then we would see the similar people, the migrants, people from Africa, from Eastern Europe, from Asia. And I was thinking, then if these are Australians who born and raised in Australia struggling like this, what about the people who can't speak English? The ones who don't understand the system.
Yeah,
And I see them in the workplace from time to time. So that's one thing. Then people would approach me from time to time to say, like, you seem to be a successful person. Like, how do you succeed? Like, what is it?
What do you do? What's
what
the
do you
secret?
do?
What's the secret ingredient?
So that's one. And then the other thing is that from time to time, people said, I want to apply for it. I've applied for X amount of jobs. I've never received an interview. Nobody's called me back. So then what I usually say to them, let me see your CV and let me see a copy of the job you've applied for. So then I started to realize that a lot of people, the CV wasn't done
correctly, yes.
And even people who really had a not too bad CV, the cover letter was not. I wouldn't give them an interview. And I found that it was a very common thread. And I'm not talking about novice. Like a lot of migrants are very educated people, like us who've come with degrees and so on. But the Australian system is slightly different from what we are used to in our countries. So a lot of people struggle to write the selection card, the cover letter. So having done quite a few dozen of them, and the opportunity came, and I was volunteering for iCare, and I started to see some of the people coming in, and the struggles that are very, very real and tangible. I spoke to the director of iCare, and was saying it would be good if we had a forum where we can actually empower people, but not just those who are registered for our program, but even for our migrants.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't have this opportunity, because a lot of migrants, they're not on Centrelink, so they can't register for work for the dole. But then I thought, we've got a platform here. We've got the radio.
Yes.
We've got Facebook.
Yes.
We've got audience.
Yes.
And then I thought, why not knock heads together?
Yeah.
And do what I do in secret for these people. Just bring it on air.
On air, which is amazing. And today's world is social media as well. And first of all, I'm very grateful for Down and Online Radio for creating this amazing platform, and for you to come forward with this amazing show. Because every time I do get to listen to this, my career, my calling, I will not lie to you, and I'm not just saying this because I'm here. I get to learn something. I get to pick a word or two, pick something that I would never have initially thought of. So I think it's a great initiative that you've started. And, I'm hoping, of course, it keeps going bigger and bigger and continue to inspire people, and, people would be willing to come here, especially people who have lived in this country for so long, people who have had experiences in struggling to find employment, and they've come out on the other end successful. Hopefully they can come here as well and get to work with you doing this amazing show. So far, maybe you can just give us a little brief insight of what you have for this show, what you have planned for the future of this show.
So we will be running this every week, as you already know. But coming up also in August, we're doing something in partnership with this show, and we're running a one-day seminar talking about job readiness, and it's really talking about integration and diversity. So part of the work that we're doing is really, the bottom line is to get migrants to integrate into the Australian workplace and to succeed. And it's really part of this bigger picture about diversity and integration, because Australia is a very multicultural place. There's a lot of diversity here, but I think unfortunately we don't embrace the diversity that we have well enough. And I think some of us, we are shy, and because it's new to us, we actually hinder ourselves. So the whole idea of this seminar, which will be on the 6th of August, it will be held here at Destiny Impact Worship Center's auditorium.
That's amazing. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
yes.
Wonderful. Yes.
So we've got some amazing speakers lined up. We've got
Serious people.
like we've got high level people who have
Yes.
accepted the invitation to come. We'll be talking about job readiness. We'll be
Yes.
talking about diversity and integration in the workplace. We'll be talking about disability and work. You know, we'll be getting someone from maybe the local government to speak to us about some of the programs that are available. We'll have people from the local universities and
Yes.
training centers setting up booths to provide information about how people can enroll in courses, because that is one of the areas that people struggle in. So the other thing we're doing, we're getting job providers as well to be here to tell people like how to sign up with a job agency, how the job agency can help you to find a job. And because I think we're not used to that. Like I personally wasn't used to using a job agency.
Of course.
So it's kind of like a new concept for me.
Yes.
And I figured that, well, if I was a novice, there might be other people who are a bit of a novice as well. So we're working with job providers, we're working with local training agencies, because a lot of people also want to get into the skilled industry or universities. So we've invited university partners,
Yes.
local training institutions, and we're getting experienced trainers who have trained people. Today I spoke to someone from University of Sydney. We'll be coming to talk about professional networking. So it's going to be...
That's wonderful. It sounds like it's going to
amazing.
be such an
These are some of the
amazing
things.
event. And perhaps if someone is listening in or someone is watching on Facebook, will there be enough material to be able to tell people when exactly this will be happening, how they can come and how they can get involved in this program?
Yes. So in the next week or so, we
Yes.
will be providing on our Facebook page.
Yes.
And we will be announcing this on the program as
Perfect.
well.
Yes.
To provide information about how you can register. So we will be asking people to register. The program will be free. We've actually got sponsorship to cover the
Yes.
cost of the program.
Yes.
So we won't charge for it. This will be
free event.
Free event.
Yes.
So iCare has taken care of all the expenses.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we will be providing, morning tea and lunch, and we will provide, whatever handouts are needed. We'll provide information in another week or so how people may register, and we need to register because the facility has a certain capacity. So
Yes, exactly.
yeah, unfortunately, we can't accommodate every single
Every
person,
person.
but we're hoping that, we will be able to cater to the needs. And we've got a really amazing program.
I know. It
lined
sounds
up.
absolutely amazing, and I'll be looking forward to that. Now, of course, if you've been listening in and you want to get involved, you wouldn't want to miss this wonderful opportunity. So keep an eye on Facebook, on Stephanie's page. More information will be coming to you. At the same time, if you have any further information, slide into Stephanie's inbox. I'm sure she wouldn't mind. Send her a message on Facebook and she'll be very happy. She's very prompt in replying. Now, before we go any further, I know you're all curious to continue hearing Stephanie speaking, but today is her birthday. And we get this wonderful opportunity to just listen to a few wonderful greetings that special people have taken some time to send to you. So we'll be playing that. Please stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. We have more amazing stuff coming to you.
Protect also your future and everything
I
that
just
you
want to
endeavor
give
to do.
a big shout out to my good friend Stephanie, all the way in Australia. Stephanie has such a big heart. She's a woman of God who loves God, and she loves to worship, and she loves to pour out in God's people. I met Stephanie, me and my wife, Carlene, we met Stephanie in Fiji, and she was the first one that we reached out to, and she just opened up her arms, she opened up her doors, and she let us in, and man, it has been powerful, that prayer and worship that we used to have at our home, and she opened up her doors to many, and she just allows God to use her so much. I thank God for her. God is doing great things to you, Stephanie. I wish you many, many, many many more birthdays, and I pray that God blessings and favor will overtake you.
It's your
Bye-bye, Stephanie.
birthday.
Have a
My name is Shane
blessed
Robinson, and I'm presently a cook on the cruise line. And I met Stephanie 21 years now, and she has taught me everything about public health. And believe you me, at this present time, I'm doing everything that she have taught me, and I'm using it inside, and I'm teaching others on the cruise line. And I'm telling you the truth, I have no regrets. Listen to her because she's a good teacher. And listen up.
And I'm a
Big
servant
up
of
yourself.
Jesus Christ and also a researcher and a business coach. I'm from Barbados, West Indies, and I met Dr. Steph while at Hillsong College in Sydney, Australia. And the church had an album recording, and I think that was either 2011 or 2012. And I saw her from across the room, and there was something familiar about her. And I said to myself, she looks Caribbean, even though there were other people of color present. And apparently she was thinking along the same lines. And when we met, we just hit it off immediately. And as the saying goes, the rest was history. I remember she was also a great encouragement to me when I was in a low place in Australia. And she was a good support system to me. And we also had fun times together during Anzac Day. And we went to the city and we had a lot of fun. And Dr. Steph, you've accomplished so much since then. And I pray that the Lord will continue to bless you and unfold his purposes for your life according to his plans for you. May his protection be upon you and your family, and have a wonderful birthday and a fantastic year. God bless.
Oh, wow. Amazing, amazing messages. You've inspired so many people. How do you feel listening to all these messages, Stephanie?
You know, to be very honest, I am so humbled.
Yeah.
It's, you know, they've sent the messages to me and I had to put them together for the radio program. And each time I was listening, I thought, oh my God. It's like, you know, when you're doing stuff and you're not really thinking about the outcome.
Yeah.
And, you know, like my students, you know, my Sunday school kids, this one that just spoke, you know, I taught him. So in Jamaica, as part
The
of
one
my
on
job,
the cruise line? Yes.
yeah, I had to train them. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, it really warms my heart, and it's also humbling at the same time.
Okay.
So
Well, that's amazing. You of course continue to inspire so many people, Stephanie, and we're all very grateful. We're all very, very, very grateful for that. Just to also a quick one. There is a call coming in. Just one moment, and we'll be with you in a minute.
Hello, Australia. This is Harville Buchanan. I'm from Jamaica. I'm born and raised in the parish of St. Mary. And I have known Stephanie Fletcher-Lartey for several years. We attended the same denomination, and you know, we have always been friends and really just working together in the church. And also, I would have known her working in the Ministry of Health. She has always been a person of influence, a person who always shows you the love, the affection, the care, the concern for how you are doing, you know, ideas on how you can better yourself. And she has been a tower of strength to me and a lot of other persons in our community. I'm so happy for the work that you're doing,
My
Steph,
name is
and
Tarlene
I wish you
Malcolm.
all the best.
I have known Stephanie Fletcher for over 15 years. We worked together with the Northeast Regional Health Authority in Jamaica for a few years. And during that time, I found her to be so motivated, so driven for success. And today, as she celebrates her birthday, I just want to wish her the very best that God have to offer. I pray that God will bless her with many more healthy, happy, and successful years. And I hope that one day in the near future, we'll get an opportunity.
Well. This is a surprise. This is actually Stephanie's song. But before we enjoy this song, we'll probably play it towards the end when we have our last party before we leave. Stephanie has promised a very big, beautiful dance.
oh yes.
Yes, since she is the person who sang this song. And I think that's something that you left out. You are a musician.
Oh,
You are a musician. So you also do music.
I do.
There is nothing you don't do. It's such a big salute to you.
Thank you.
You do so much, and everyone gets to benefit a little bit piece of you in every way, whether career-wise, whether on this show, whether just talking to you as a pastor, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend to so many that we've had sending you wonderful birthday messages. So you're a very incredible woman. And it gives me so much pleasure to be here to celebrate this wonderful day with you. So maybe then we can just very quickly, because we're running out of time, just share your first experience, you coming to Australia and finding a job. How easy or how hard was that for you?
Wow. So coming to Australia, as I said before, I was already working. I was quite a senior worker in Jamaica as well.
Yes.
But coming here as a student, that was a whole other ball game.
Yes.
You know, I came here, a different system. So even though I was already a very high level professional, I still felt like fish out of water.
Yeah, of course.
You know,
Yes.
so because I was an environmental health officer, I thought, oh, maybe I could get a part-time job. But then, I was a full-time student.
Yes, and it's hard to get a full-time job as a student. Yes.
Or in these types of roles as well, it's not that easy to do this part-time. So I did see a few jobs, but they needed somebody full-time.
Yes.
And of course, it was not easy. And the other thing was, pretty much everything is an online job application. And as I said before, I wasn't used to using like a job agency or so on.
Yes.
So doing the online job application was quite new to me. I am a good writer. I can write.
You can
I can wow you with my writing. But the online stuff, took a little while for me to get used to that.
Yes.
And then the other thing was, because I was a full-time research student, there are certain rules that you have to follow. So you can't just get up and go. And I was also on a scholarship.
Yes, of course.
For my tuition. So unfortunately, the scholarship only covered my tuition. So I had to earn a living.
Of course, you had to survive.
I
You had
had
to
to
eat.
earn
You
a
had to
living.
pay rent and
So even though by the end of my first semester, I actually got a second scholarship for my living allowance to assist me.
Yes.
But because the cost of living is so high in Sydney,
yes.
that scholarship only covered because the rent was so high, it was only enough to cover my rent. So I think if I was living anywhere else except Australia, that money I could have lived like a king on it. Yeah. Except that the cost for rent was so high. So I started off trying at first to say, okay, maybe, I started to hear about these volunteering stuff or I see people doing that thing on the street where you sign people up like for UNHCR.
Oh, yes, charity fundraising.
Charity stuff.
Yes, I've
and
done
one day
that
I thought,
before.
oh, me, I can talk. I've got a nice
I can
person.
convince
Yeah. So I started to think at first, like, maybe I could do that,
Yes, yes.
So eventually I found one. And I'm telling you, Julia, oh boy, the things we have to do when we come to this country.
Yeah.
I had to travel. And I lived in the city, in the CBD at that time.
Yes.
And they were doing like a recruitment thing somewhere over here in Liverpool.
Oh, wow.
And I had to take the train. I even got lost.
No, this is your hood, but before then, you got lost coming.
Because I wasn't used to taking a train,
Yeah.
So I went to this event where they had a one-day event where they told you about what they do, and this one was it was for refugees, and I had quite an interest in working for stuff like that.
Exactly.
It was just up my street, I'm a missionary at heart.
Yeah, of course.
So I was like, perfect.
I get to get paid while doing something too.
Then I took this train for almost 1 hour all the way down here, got lost in the process. Well, I got lost on the way going back. But I got there, and after they finished talking today, I kind of felt like, well, this is not exactly what I expected.
Yeah.
So I was quite disappointed, and they eventually called me, but to be very honest, my heart was a little bit broken because the expectation that I had. it was something completely different.
Different.
Something completely different. And it was almost like you had to collect so much money to get even anything. So, for the first about 6 weeks, I basically lived off whatever little bit I had that I had in my pocket.
That must be really
and
hard.
because I'm from a really poor background, my mother taught me how to stretch $1 to make 9.
Yeah, of course.
So I used to live off like $50 a fortnight.
Wow.
$50 a fortnight.
How?
I used to go to Paddy's Market and I used to buy vegetables.
Yes.
I grew up in a really big family.
Yeah.
My mother had a lot of kids. And that's one thing, I know how to stretch food.
You gotta eat little by little.
Yeah, so I
It's
would
gotta
buy
last.
a big cabbage
Yeah.
and some meat.
Yeah.
And I would cook like I was cooking for my family. And then I would have food in my freezer.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had a really nice flat because my university had really beautiful postgraduate quarters, except
Yes.
that they were really expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
But I had a refrigerator and everything. So I would do a big pot of food and I would freeze. And that is how I was able to leave. And, then after about 6 weeks after, so my supervisor encouraged me, drop your CV in the Faculty of Health, which was nursing and midwifery before.
Yes.
So even though I'm not a nurse or a midwife, he figured that because I had so much advanced level skills, because I was already a researcher, I was
Yes.
already a very advanced level researcher. He said, they do a lot of health related research. And because I had a health background, he figured that maybe they could find somebody who would need somebody with my skills.
Exactly.
So after about 4 weeks, out of the blue one day, I got a phone call from one of the professors.
Oh my God.
And she's like, I've got your CV here. Are you still looking for a job?
Yes. Yes, please.
And that was about like 5 o'clock one evening. And she said, oh, I said, yes, I'm still looking for a job. And then she said, can you come and see me? So I lived on campus. So I just walked across the street, went into her office, had an interview at about 7 p.m.
7 p.m. at night.
I just went across the street. She was working late. She said,
Yes.
come and see me. And I went over there. She interviewed me right there. And she said, I need you to start Monday morning.
Whoa. Wow.
So I told you before that I'd worked overseas,
Yes.
coordinating a really big research project
Yes, yes.
across 8 countries.
Wow.
That landed me that job.
That's what I think that's what warranted that impromptu interview.
Yes.
The job was already yours. They
Yours.
just needed to
To
see you and
me,
talk
yes.
to you. Yes.
So I reckon
wow.
that,
Yes.
So I landed that job. She's like, my project. So it was a big clinical trial.
Yes.
That was like $1.5 million from funding.
Yes.
And the person who was running the project had been promoted, had got another job, and she needed somebody to replace him immediately.
Wow.
And he had 1 week to train me.
Yes.
To just like show me the ropes of what he was doing. And so she called me. I went to meet the person and he said, can you start today?
This is we need you here right now. Yes.
So sometimes these opportunities we often don't realize. So all that experience that I had working in Jamaica and working around the region, doing research coordination for this really big multinational project,
it was building you for something.
they just saw that on my CV and they're like, this person is ready.
Yeah, she's definitely. We just need her right now, like right this minute.
And that is how I got my first job.
Wow, congratulations. That's very inspiring. And, to have such a built-up resume like that, of course, you will land yourself such wonderful opportunities. So a massive, massive congratulations.
Yes.
And, everyone has their own experiences coming to Australia and finding their first job. And I have to say, your previous experience helped you a lot in getting a really good job. But, for most migrants,
Yes.
you have to just make do with what can happen at that very time.
Yes.
And you being now in Australia for 10 years, happy birthday again. I will not stop saying that it's your day. What are the greatest achievements that you've done that you yourself, you sit back and say, wow, I'm very proud that I got to do this?
Oh, wow, wow, wow. You know,
Yes.
there are many, many things that I really want to give God thanks for.
Yes.
10 years in Australia. It was not an easy journey for me. I already shared that it was really a very emotional one to actually leave my country and my family. But coming here, I really want to give thanks to God. You know, I finished my PhD within the time, like
Within the set time of the university.
all the local students get 4 years to do a PhD. I had a 3-year scholarship.
Wow.
So standard is 4 years in Australia.
Yes.
I had a scholarship for 3 years. That means I had to finish a year in advance. And I did.
That's tough.
So I finished my PhD in 3 years.
That's tough. That means you have to work double harder,
Yeah.
much more harder than everyone
The
else.
expectations are very, very high.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, I really thank God for the lives that I've been able to touch. You know,
Yes.
professionally, I believe I've done really well.
Yes.
God has. I've traveled the Pacific. I've traveled Asia.
Yes.
I've traveled the world
Yes.
through my jobs in Australia.
Yes,
I've been
yes.
able to really impact many people with my
Yes.
skills and talents.
Yes.
But I think my biggest achievement in this country are the lives that I've been able to touch positively. And, you know, I've met people who were about to commit suicide, that I was in the right place at the right moment. I've met people who were having issues with children, with marriages, relationships. I've just somehow, God has placed me in the right place at the right time and affirms for me that I needed to be in this country. And that's why the struggle was so real to get here. I've met people who never really experienced the love of, like, genuine love from somebody, genuine friendship. And I believe that God has given me that ability to genuinely love people. And I've shown people that love. Whether I receive it back or is a whole other kettle of fish. But
Yes.
and I think the other thing too is I actually met my husband. I got married while I was in Australia.
Yes.
You know, many years I was
Congratulations.
sitting on the shelf in Jamaica.
Yes.
And lots of people came and played around, but nobody, you know,
Stuck around.
nobody, you know,
Was
went
serious.
the way.
Yeah.
So I thank God for my husband.
Yes.
And I, you know, I've given birth to my, you know,
Wonderful
children. Yeah.
and yeah.
And the other thing too was to really serve God
Yes.
in the ministry. I've always been serving in the church from my childhood. And church is the biggest influence on my life in terms of my personality, my
Yes.
ability to sit down and to love people.
Yes.
I believe I was taught that from childhood, growing up in the church. And my music ministry, I thank God for that too. You know, it's taken me, you know, places. But Bishop Richard Asamoah Boateng, I thank God for his life. He ordained me as a pastor in 2014.
Wow.
Yeah.
Since 2014, since before years. I mean, 5.
5 years. This year will be 5 years.
Yes,
And
yes.
I've been serving the people of God. I've served in other churches. I've served in Hillsong. I've served in City Harvest Church.
Yes.
And God has used me to raise up people, raise up other leaders, to impart what He has given me into them. And so you asked me earlier when I was listening to some of these people.
Yes.
I didn't realize that I was imparting stuff into people.
Yes.
And I thank God that what I've imparted was good and not evil, because it
Yes.
could have been that way. So that's to me, in a nutshell, that's like all of these. I mean, I have a PhD. I got the PhD that I came for.
Yes.
I've got a great job. I've got great colleagues that I work with. I've traveled. But I believe that my biggest achievement is really to be able to walk in my calling.
Yes.
You know, so my career has opened the door for me
Yes.
to walk in my calling. And that's part of the
that's
inspiration
beautiful.
for the
Yeah.
name that I've given to this program. My career, my
And
calling.
yeah, and it's a beautiful name that you've given this show because, sometimes you have your career, you have your calling somewhere else. So sometimes you can entertain them.
Yes.
Sometimes you'll have to sacrifice one, follow another one. But I can see where you're coming from because, as I said, the first time I met you, it was so easy to speak to you.
Yes.
You're just so open to receiving people, I guess. And that's why you've been able to inspire so many people and save so many people. So do you do counseling, sort of, when you say you've saved people on the verge of committing suicide?
I've been in situation where I had to, I don't consider myself a counselor. I'm not a qualified counselor.
Yeah.
I'm trained in like mental health and because I'm a health worker and in public health, I've been trained to do some of that. But I think God has just given me the ability to be there for people. And I think sometimes it's not so much the training and the qualification, but it's actually a genuine care, a genuine concern, genuine empathy, like real empathy for what somebody's going through, and for people to know that they can trust you and that you are safe with them.
Yes.
And I believe that is what I try to do for people. Like if I can't help you 100%, but I can help you to find help. Or I can be a shoulder for you to cry. Or I can be just hold your hand.
Sometimes people just need that person to hold
your
hand.
hand
That
through
person
that rough
to
time.
just not say anything. They just offer that shoulder to cry on. And that's very important. It might not seem much, but it is.
But to them at the moment, that's
everything.
Probably what they need.
Exactly.
And I am a big believer in practical love.
Yes.
So if I see you walking barefooted and I've got 3 pairs of shoes, I will not come and say, oh, my dear, you're barefooted. It's such a bad thing. I'll give you my shoe.
Yeah.
Like I'm a practical lover. I don't just watch you and use words. I practicalize because my parents taught me that the best demonstration of love is actually the action one. I feel like that is the kind of person that I am, and that's the person that people see when they meet me.
Yes.
I would love to think so, at least.
I do think so. And I hope everyone else.
I'm a practical person, I'm a very bold person, and I speak my mind.
Yes.
And a lot of people know that, but people trust me because they know that what I'm genuine.
Exactly.
I'm not a hypocrite.
You give it 100%. Whether somebody wants to take it or not, you honest.
Yes.
And sometimes it's good because most of us don't like to be told.
Yeah.
Most of us don't like that honest love.
Yes.
But if you do give that out, at the end of the day, somebody will go sit back, think about it and be like, yeah, well, she was right.
Yes. And I've heard a lot of that too.
Yes.
People have often come to me and said, you know what? You were really, we thought that you were really rough or you really scolded us, but we really appreciated it. And I've heard that many times. And so.
It's good. Tough love works. Tough love is good.
Yeah,
wonderful. Well, Stephanie.
Oh.
Let me just say a massive thank you. Now, if you've had so many inspiring stories from this wonderful woman, I don't know what else I can say to you. I wish you a wonderful, wonderful birthday. God may continue to work on you so that you can continue to inspire people like us, continue to build people like us, people who are in need. So thank you so much. Continue listening to God's voice. Continue following your calling, because, there's so many great things are waiting for you, and this show is just going to help you inspire that many people. So wish you all the very best of luck in this show and everything else that you do. So we're going to play Stephanie's song. This is her own song that she sang, so the voice that you'll hear. And this is one thing that I love about Stephanie. When she gets onto the altar to sing and she does reggae, you'll not find me sitting anywhere. So listen, enjoy, send your messages on Facebook, or you can give us a ring on 612-800-60475. Enjoy the song and we'll be with you shortly.
When the pressures of life get you down,